Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's deluxe Crash Bandicoot figure, which is basically the same Crash Bandicoot figure that we saw 2 other times already, but this one has a jetpack. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Well, I have some thoughts on that. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand so we can take a closer look. This guy stands just about, let's say 6 1/4 inches to the very top of his hair, which makes it just about 16 centimeters, pretty close to that. Of course, those are just rough eyeballs. I'm not exactly getting out the micrometer over here to measure him, but you get the idea. That's about the size he is. And like I said, it is basically the same Crash Bandicoot figure as before, just with a jetpack on him and a hood thingy, goggles, hat thingy to go on him as well. So if you're into Crash Bandicoot, you may be into this. If you're not into Crash Bandicoot, then you're probably not going to be into this. So I'm not going to really comment on that. This is very much a very niche thing for a very specific audience. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'll give you the skinny on the details as best as I can, and you can make your decisions from there if you're not yet decided. So the first thing to talk about is just the aesthetics. It looks exactly like the other Crash Bandicoot figures, which means the good things are still good, the paint job is relatively clean, and the bad things are still bad, which is the orange and brown on him are not really the right colors. His hair is totally the wrong color, and it's just not right. So in some ways it's good and in some ways it's bad, so that's kind of a problem. The sculpt is pretty much good. The sculpt for the jetpack's nice and clean. It's not especially detailed, but it looks pretty good. The goggles look nice. I like that they did the clear little lenses on there, so that's nice. So I'm going to give the aesthetics overall a 7 out of 10. It looks pretty good. We do have those issues with the coloring, but I think for all but the most hardcore Crash Bandicoot fans, you can probably get past it if I had to guess. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the accessories. There are none. There are no accessories. So for the accessories, I'm going to give it a 0 out of 10. This is not an accessory. It is on his body. Can you remove it? I can't figure out a way to do it without making it feel like I'm tearing something apart. So I think it is meant to stay on there. What about the hat? Does the hat come off? No, nothing comes off. No accessories. Now, as far as the articulation goes, if you guys saw my previous Crash Bandicoot reviews, you know that they did a really good job getting the head to be really nicely articulated. Well, on this figure, because of all the apparati that are on it, you really just get a little bit of range out of it. Just a tiny little bit. You can't really do much with it, so that's lousy. The eyebrows, not articulated on this guy. The shoulders, still equally functional as before, which is to say not particularly functional. But they are there. They do have the hinge, and they do have a swivel, so you can move his arms a little bit. Elbows, single jointed elbow, gives you about 90 degrees, and then you have a swivel. Wrists have a swivel at the end and a hinge at the beginning, which is not how you do it. You're supposed to do it the other way, because right now you can bend his hand and then rotate it, which is not right. You want to be able to rotate it and then bend it so that it is more practically functional. So that is not so great. For the torso, well, you can't really do much because the torso joint is right underneath that brown strap, and so you can't really do much of anything at all with it. Now for the hips, you guys may remember the peg for the hips goes straight down instead of out to the side, which means you are extremely limited in what you can do with the hips. Nothing has changed. That is the exact same situation. Neither of the hips have popped off for me this time though, so that's pretty good. You're basically just going to get some rotation, but it's going to want to fight you, so almost useless hips. For the knees, you do have a hinge, which doesn't want to go for that one. Does it want to go for this one? Nope, neither of the hinges want to work on the knees, but you do get a swivel at the top of the hinge if you want to use that. Let's see if I can make one of these go without it breaking. It does not want to go. You get a little bit less than 90-degree bend though, if it does function. Like this one's not going, so not a good example. And then lastly, you have a ball peg for the ankle, which is actually decent. It does allow him to stand pretty well, but since you can't move the hips or knees really effectively, this is almost worthless. Ultimately, the legs are only good for getting him to stand and getting his feet flat. It's not a good situation really. So there's not really much else to say. The backpack is only okay, the jetpack. So this is only moderately well painted. There's a lot of bleeding and a lot of fuzziness, and it's just all around, this is not a particularly impressive figure. Articulation wise, it's only going to get a 4 out of 10. It's barely articulated. You know what? I'm going to reduce that. 3 out of 10. It is barely articulated at all. Really poorly articulated. So there's really not a lot to say, guys. I have to comment on this. As far as a line of figures, which is basically all just one oh, by the way, he has a new face, but his face is not well painted. His open mouth, he's got black line across his teeth. There's nothing in the package to rub on the teeth, so that means it came that way, which is not good. So back to what I was saying. For a line of figures, which is basically all just one figure with things on it, or maybe accessories, and just different smiles or mouths, whatever you want to say, it's starting to feel a bit lazy. I mean, I know they're supposed to make money on these, which they're going to make because they're reusing most of the molds, but if you're going to do that, you have to step up the quality on them. And so having absolutely minimal articulation in instances like this, and not the best aesthetics and not the best paint and zero accessories, it feels very cheap and lazy, and I don't like it. I gotta be honest, I don't like it. So there you go. So I'm gonna give a final verdict of, I'm gonna say 5 out of 10. That seems fair enough because it does look good at first glance. If you don't care about posing it or anything, you're probably gonna like it well enough, but there are some nice things about it, but overall, not very many. So that's the final verdict. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out a whole bunch. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to do that because I have new videos out almost every single day. Usually it is, sometimes it's not. It depends on how many things I have to review or make videos about, but that's the general plan. So lots and lots of videos for you to watch. So make sure you come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.